Good afternoon. Thanks very much for joining me today, guys. A very interesting thing is happening on X and on Facebook and many of the other social media platforms, and this has really flared up in the last week or two. Women are going viral for complaining about not being able to find and date any men when they're abroad. Women are going overseas now for work, whether it means to Southeast Asia. In this case, a couple posts from Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, the Philippines, Thailand, Singapore. Many of the women that are westernized women, white usually, and probably overweight and full of attitude, they're going overseas and they're finding out that not only will the Asian men not date them, but the Western men that are there for work or other reasons will also not date them because, well, the Western men have these petite, feminine, attractive Southeast Asian ladies to date, and they're preferring them over the entitled, angry, overweight white women. And the women are kind of crashing out about it. They're especially crashing out because they realize the Southeast Asian men don't want them either because they really don't have anything to offer that those men want. So the minute that women get out of the Western culture, they take their attitudes and their personality with them, and then they quickly discover that nobody else really wants them. And the women are starting to understand why men are selecting the Asian women over themselves. And it has nothing to do with necessarily looks, but it has to do with the fact that they're slim, they're healthy, they're pretty, and most of all, they're feminine. And so the women have really started crashing out about this. I've got 4 or 5 screenshots that are all within the last year. And then we've got 3 or 4 videos that we're going to review about women just kind of realizing nobody wants us. When given any alternative to Western women, nobody wants us. This is the validation these men are talking about when they say, look, when given the opportunity, Southeast Asian women, or really any non-Western woman, is superior to what we're offered here, which is why so many men are out of the dating market. First, we'll start here with just a screenshot, and this is from, I think, about a year ago, and this is on Facebook, but this is from a fexpat. They call themselves fexpats, which is female expat and locals living in Ho Chi Minh City. And this woman says, hey, ladies, myself and a few other girls are struggling with the dating scene here. Does anyone have any tips or on places to go or apps to use? And 5 women replied, basically saying, give it up. There's nothing here for you. Now, obviously, since this is Facebook, I can't click on the profiles to see what these women look like. But every one of them says, move. It's not the place to be. A different one says, agreed. A different one, so true. A different one, the unfortunate truth. When I signed my contract extension for work, I said to myself, I guess I'm signing on to be another year single. Another woman said, agreed. All these women are basically realizing when given any opportunity, no one chooses them. This is another thread where a woman says, a lot of people have been posting about the dating scene here. Have any of you actually considered leaving Vietnam because of the dating scene? Men tend to gravitate towards Vietnamese as they are stunning. Now, this is a woman that's talking. And even a woman is saying these Vietnamese women are beautiful. And so I can't blame the men for gravitating towards them. And she says, I do not have low self-esteem and I do have hobbies. But at this point, I'm just wondering if there's any hope in dating here. A woman responds to her. She says, yes, I've actually been telling everyone around me it'll be the main reason I leave Vietnam. She said, I've lived in Vietnam for 6 years and I've finally decided to leave for the sake of my dating life. As much as I love it here, I just realized I'm never going to find my partner and my self-esteem is crushed. And she says, my self-esteem and the way I view my date worthiness has also taken a massive hit, which I'm working with my therapist. So basically, she realizes the men at every opportunity are choosing Asian women because of their size and them being petite and sweet and kind, and nobody just wants the Western women. I have a couple of other screenshots here that I could go through. I won't bother you, kind of get the idea. And then we have some video, and this is from Anti-Feminism in Australia. This is the guy that posted this. And he says, narcissistic Western woman in Thailand thinks she can compete with Thai women. And this is a 38-year-old woman that is now arguing her point about why Western men should choose her instead of an attractive, young, beautiful, petite, slim, kind, or at least seemingly kind. I know some of you Southeast Asian guys will say, oh, they're not really kind. They're just tricking you. Okay, true enough, true enough. But compared to Western women, all women in the world are kind, if we're really going to be honest about it. Anyway, she goes on this tirade about why we should date Western women instead of the slim, beautiful Southeast Asian women. It's not going well. They're all crashing out. They're very angry about it. Before I play the video, let's hear from today's sponsor, rumble.wallet.com. Today's sponsor is Rumble Wallet. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see, but we need to fight back. Rumble's the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble's challenging big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they've introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards, like they've done in Germany, like they've done in Canada during the trucker protest. So that's why they launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel, a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like myself, and a wallet that is backed by crypto. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can control it. Yours to protect your future and family. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. And Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars backing its value. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, it also allows you to support your favorite content creators by easily tipping them with a click of a button. There'll be no fees when you tip my channel or others over on Rumble, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for payouts. Support my show and other content creators by clicking the tip button on my Rumble channel. It's wallet.rumble.com. Download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, and step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores, and I left a link down below and pinned as the top comment. Okay, so here's the main video. Let me bring this up a little bit larger, and we will enjoy her crash out. This is about 3 minutes, but trust me, every second is absolutely worth it, because the one thing you can't do, and we've talked about this before in other videos, you can't argue attraction. You can't convince somebody of attraction. The way you know this is all the DEI and the feminists and everybody out there with the body positivity movement saying that these big women that are 300 pounds are just as beautiful and just as desirable as young 23-year-old Scandinavian models. And all the men said, wait a minute, no, that's not true. And no matter how much you shame us and yell at us and call us names, it doesn't mean we're going to find these women attractive. Now, here we are 3, 4, 5 years later, and finally the advertisers are getting it, and women are starting understanding that the body positivity thing is not going to make a change. Men are not going to find them attractive. Also, they miraculously discovered Ozempic, and now they're all losing weight because they know that actually people like slim people better than overweight people. Well, she's going to try to do this convincing. I want you to hear, it's not even desperation that you hear in her voice. You're going to hear anger and frustration. And I can understand anger and frustration, but when you're angry and frustrated about something and the world's not going the way you want it to, there's a couple ways you can deal with it. One of them, which is to stay frustrated and angry and mad at the world, that's not actually going to fix anything, which these women will find out, especially at the age of 38. She's very much on borrowed time. The other thing you really should do is reflect about your view of the world, reflect on the decisions you've made, and maybe change the way you go about things. But none of these women can do that because that would take accountability, and women don't have that.
Can I compete with Thai women when it comes to dating and relationship? Absolutely, yes. So in this episode, I'll tell you about the struggles we have Western women dating in Thailand, and also compare. So who would you rather be with? A Thai woman or a Western woman like me?
All right, I know there's a lot of white noise in the background. I apologize for that.
Thai woman is easier. That's for sure. You know, she's not going to challenge you back. She's not going to be more successful than you are. She's certainly not going to have more money than you. So for sure, with Western women, you have that challenge. You need to up the game because we're going behind you. You know, we're earning equal to you, sometimes more than you, of course.
Okay, so, and I know there's a little bit of white noise, so I'll quickly repeat what she said. She says, yes, the Asian women are not going to challenge you back. Good. I don't want a challenge. I want someone that is kind and sweet to me. I don't want a challenge. I don't want to fight for the alpha of the relationship. She's not going to be more successful than you are. Good, because women that tend to start out earning men or get a higher education, 90% of the time leave the men. So that's good. She's not going to have more money than Good. She's dependent on me. It means she'll stick around. Then she says, you need to up the game because we're going behind you and we're earning equal or more than you. So I don't want to up my game. I am who I am. You know what I don't want to do? Always feel like I'm in competition with somebody. I don't want to feel like I have to improve. I just want somebody that appreciates me and we get along. So no, the whole competition thing and you need to up your game. No, my game is what it is. You're 38. You challenging men and telling them they need to up their game when you're 38, that's not going to work. You're on borrowed time as it is. This is the attitude and the arrogance and the cockiness that men don't like. Women like that in a man. They don't understand. Men do not like that in a woman. They just do not get it.
Sometimes more than you. Of course, me being 38, by the way, I'm single. Just saying, if you're interested, send me your applications. I will review your persona.
And she laughs about that. I'm 38. I'm very single. Send in your applications and I will review them. No, we don't need to. If you're, especially in Southeast Asia, but even here in the United States or in Europe or the UK or anywhere else, we're not doing that. You don't get to pick and choose through men that are, she acts like there's a line of men waiting for her. She's single and she's 38.
Western guys have a huge pool of candidates, a huge pool of women who are after them or their money, one of them. And of course, they have a selection. So, and what I'll find as well, guys know that.
This is a weird mindset I don't understand. She admits that Western men in these countries in Southeast Asia have all the options. They have women falling over themselves. If you're an expat over there and you make $50,000 a year from your country in retirement or whatever else, that's like $5 million. That's way more money than they earn. For example, here in the United States, if you make $3,000 or $4,000 a month, that's barely above minimum wage. However, in the Philippines, if you make $900 a month, you're living very, very comfortably. So a man that's making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, he's looked at like he's filthy rich when he goes to these other countries. And the other thing is that there's something about the American culture or Western culture that Southeast Asian women like. And they do think it'll give them an easier life. But how is that a bad thing? Don't all women try to date up and date a man that's going to give them an easier life? So why would it be a negative if Southeast Asian women want to do it too? I don't see any difference in that. So even though she says, oh, these men have so many choices, yet you notice she didn't say the reason why you should choose her instead is. It's because she doesn't have any reason. There's literally no reason. And the other thing you'll notice for those of you just listening is she's changed her outfits multiple times. It's on varying dates. She's done this video for multiple days talking about this topic. She's given it a lot of thought. This isn't just something that's coming off the top of her head. She's given deep thought into this, and she's still unable to come up with a reasonable, like a good reason why men should choose her instead of these other women.
Western women is a lot more challenging, of course.
Notice she goes back to the challenge again. She just did it again. Like, we do not want a challenge. I swear they just don't understand. This is another woman. And you can see, there's one trend here that you can see in a lot of these women. She's an aging woman. For some reason, there's no in between here in size, but so I'll do this. She's got the lines under her eyes. She's got grays starting in her hair. Her hairline is receding and her hair's thinning a little bit. She's probably well into her 40s. And she understands, all of them understand, if I'm going to do this, like I'm going to have to move back to the West and find a sucker in the West, because the men that have other choices in the East, in Asia, they're never going to choose me. All of these women know it. But instead of changing and becoming a demure, quiet, submissive woman, they can't because of feminism. So instead, they just realize, I have to get away from areas where men have other choices, because otherwise I'm never going to be selected.
As a Western woman living in Singapore, it's a very common fact that it's a very difficult market to date. And what happens is many Western women, in this case English women, will leave because they can't find a boyfriend and come back home to the motherland. Have I thought about that? Yes. Do I want that to be the case? No. But this Christmas, I may just have a little peek on the dating apps, just to see what the options are like here.
Isn't that funny? Let me just rewind it a second for her. Look at her face here. She admit that now. Look at her age. Okay, she's had so many years of finding. When in her younger years, she hasn't been overseas forever. In her younger years, she could have found a man. That man could have moved with her job, but that would probably mean her dating a lesser man, and women won't do that. So she's a stunning and brave career woman that's gone out and done her thing. And now she's in her autumn of her life. She's aging. She's graying. The spring and summer are done. The party years are done. She's in the autumn of her life, and she wants to find a guy to settle down with. And she realizes, given the opportunity, men are so in demand and we're so insufferable, a man will literally choose anybody other than us. So I have to go back to the West to find a man. Here's the same thing. She's a woman that living in Thailand, and she says she's struggling with dating. Same thing. Now, if you look at her, I'd say she might be late 20s, early 30s. I think she's relatively attractive. She shouldn't have any struggles dating, but she is, because the Asian men don't want Western women, and Western men want Asian women. Nobody wants them. This is what it feels like. These women are discovering what it feels like to be an average guy in the West. This woman is probably going through what I'm going through, you've gone through, what many men have gone through, which is, you know something, I am not getting chosen by anybody. I'm not really given an opportunity. I don't have any, there's just nothing for me. This isn't working out for me. These women are discovering what it's like to be an average man in the United States, and they hate it. They cannot stand it.
Girls in Thailand, please talk to me. What is the dating situation like in Thailand? Because I've been here a while now, right? And I'll be honest, I would love to meet a wonderful, kind, wholesome, respectful, sweet, funny Thai guy. But I feel like they're either hiding, they're terrified of me as a Farang girl, or they're just not interested at all. So what is the dating situation like? Like, what's going on? Help a girl out.
There's just too many other options. And what's happening too is, I think Southeast Asia, when I was in the Philippines, when I was in Thailand, yes, they have their own movie. They have their own music culture. They've definitely got their own culture, and it's beautiful. It's really awesome. I especially like the Thai culture. But they do have influence from the West. The Filipinos and the Philippines has much more Western influence than Thailand does. But they're familiar with Western movies. I think at the time that I was over in Thailand, in the Philippines, I think I went and saw one of the Avengers movies, and it was in English with Thai subtitles. So they do have a lot of our movies and culture over there. They're seeing the stunning and brave. They're seeing the little 115-pound women throwing around 275-pound guys, and all the DEI and all the wokeness, and they see it too. And what they are realizing is that Western women are kind of crazy. They're very liberal. They're very left-leaning. They're very argumentative. They're very spoiled. They're very angry. Many of them are overweight. Now, she's not overweight, but I think what's happening is it's becoming an association. Well, it's as simple as that. It's just a pattern recognition. And Asian men, just like Asian women, much of the world, including us, including men and conservative men, we see what Hollywood does. We see what the music industry does. We see what commercials are like. We see the propaganda. We see the writing on the wall. And because we see that, we realize, something, she's attractive. Sure. Many people would find her attractive. Many people would probably date her. But then you look and you say, is this going to be a headache? Is she going to be a challenge? Is she someday going to eat too much? Does she have a super high body count? Because we've been told there's nothing wrong with that. All of a sudden you realize, something, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Whether you're a Southeast Asian guy or a white guy, you'll just say, something, I'm going to stick with the easier fight, which is going to be someone from Southeast Asia. Well, lastly, I'll leave it with this, and this is kind of the cover video. or the cover screenshot that you can see here. And World Star Hip Hop found a Filipina on the street. They're just doing various interviews. They came across her. She was just finishing up a workout with her friend. This is what a lot of men would like to find in a woman. Now, it doesn't mean if you bring her back to the United States, she doesn't take every dime from you. I'm not saying that. But it does mean that if you were to go to the Philippines or Thailand or Singapore or Vietnam and decide to live there and work there and make that your home, at least for a while, the odds of you finding a woman that meets all of your desires for being like a girlfriend or a wife are much, much higher. Now, of course, we know smart men don't get married. It doesn't give you any guarantees that if whether you stay or whether you come back here, that she would stay with you and wouldn't use you for a visa or something else. But it does show you, at least initially, the mindset of these women is what men are attracted to in the first place.
What's your name and age?
I'm Roxy and I'm 25 years old.
How are you tonight, Roxy?
I'm just doing my run here. So yeah.
You're doing your run. Okay. You're so pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so here's the question, Roxy. If a foreigner wanted to date you, how much money should he have per month to live here?
I think here in Naga City,
Yes, here in Naga, here in the Philippines.
Philippines. Maybe in the Philippines or Naga City specifically, I'd say like 50,000. You will live comfortably for 50,000 here in Naga. But in the Philippines or like Manila, I think you need more. Or if you want to live in like an urban place, I think 50,000 would be enough.
What's the
Let me just pause here for a second. Notice her answer. The girl questioning says, if a man wanted to date you and live here, how much would he need? Notice that when she was thinking about it, she's thinking, well, Naga City is kind of expensive. You know, if you want to live urban. At no point did she say, well, he needs to make this amount of money to date me. Even though the interviewer specifically said, if a man wanted to date you and live here to date you, how much would he need to make? At no point did she say he needs to make X amount to date me. She just said he'll need X amount to live in the city, to be here and to live comfortably, you know, depending on location. She didn't tie his income or his value to her in any way. She just tied the income and the money to the actual cost of living, which, for those of you just listening, is about $875 a month to live in this area per month. But at no point did that money, did she tie it to her as a person? That's key. It doesn't sound like, if you don't think about it, it doesn't sound like much. But if you think about a lot of the interviews where the guy on the street says, how much would a man need to make to date you? All the Western women say, oh, he needs to at least make six figures, or I won't date a man that doesn't make less than 200 grand. Like they assign the value to them instead of the city. You know what I mean? It's interesting to see that she didn't even connect the dots at all.
What's the cheapest date would still impress you?
Oh, date. I'd say cafe date or coffee dates, like, or we can go eat street food. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
How much do you think it would cost if you go on a street food date?
Like street food, if it comes to street food, I think like 300 or 500
Pesos.
Yeah, for both of us.
She would be impressed if a guy spent a cup of coffee on her, spent $5 to $8 for two people, which is $2.50 to $4. She would appreciate that. She would be impressed by that. How many times do we hear Western women say, oh, he's got to spend at least $100 on dinner, at least $200? Red Lobster doesn't count, or I don't know, Applebee's or some other restaurant doesn't count. He needs to put in the effort. This is what men look for. This is the humbleness, the relaxed attitude, the non-challenging, the I deserve so much more. This is all men want, and they can't understand it.
What's the most romantic thing a guy can do without spending money?
Cook for me, I guess.
And what would it be?
Like a simple date at home, or we can cook together like pasta or chicken.
Pasta, like spaghetti?
like carbonara, and like more protein, just I need more protein.
Okay, this one. If a foreigner made only 30,000 Philippine pesos a month, would you still date him?
Yeah, if I work too, yeah, that would be okay.
If you're working?
If I'm working, if we both work, but if we're both not working and we only got like 30,000 each month, I don't think that would be enough. Especially the expenses here in the Philippines is getting higher.
Yeah, because of the inflation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
In your
At no point does she reflect the money to her. It's just if we were going to be living together, if we're dating, either we both have to work so we could afford, because the amount she said, 30,000, is about $525 a month, I think she said. She didn't say that's not enough money for me, or he needs to spend more, or I demand more, or I'm higher quality than that. She just basically boiled it down to, I need X amount of dollars, or we as a couple would need X amount of dollars to get by a month just from the cost of living. Now, if we're both working, we'd be okay. But if just one of us is working, yeah, we'd need more than that. It was never I wouldn't date him, or I'd force him to get a second job, or he needs to, or he must, he should, he needs to. There's none of that. It's just the programming, the brainwashing, the entitlement that is taught to Western women at such a young age is just not here. It's absent. Now, I know if you're like me, there's always is she lying? Is she trying to trick us just so who knows? But to me, it seems like especially if you're watching the interview, to me, it seems like she's being relatively real. I don't see where she feels like she's tricking anybody, because when she pauses and thinks about it and she just says, well, we'd have to have more money than that just to live in this area because of the cost of living. I don't get the feeling that she's trying to get more than she feels like she's worth, or she's demanding too much out of a guy. It basically sounds like she's just meaning like, if a guy can do simple, sweet things for me and we can afford to live, like I'm DTF, I'm good to go. That's what it sounds like to me, at least.
opinion, what's the biggest financial mistake foreigners make when dating Filipinas?
I think I actually haven't I haven't experienced dating a foreigner, so I can't actually say about that.
You cannot really answer that question, right? No idea at all. Still studying?
No.
Maybe know what's your job if it's okay.
I worked at BPO.
So we'll stop it there, and I think you kind of get the idea. Is she's honest? I've at least as far as I can tell, I'm usually pretty good at reading people. Now, it doesn't mean that she doesn't change. It doesn't mean that she turns into a horrible person later on that milks you for every dime you have and leaves you penniless and crying in a ditch as she runs off with your money and your best friend. But at least on this impression, and initially, she seems to be very genuine and very sweet. And I like the fact, and this is something that you don't hear very often, which is, what is your opinion on a Western man, or what do you think Western men get wrong dating Filipinas? And she thinks about it for a minute and just says, I can't really say because I've never had the experience. Boy, that's kind of refreshing, isn't it? Someone that doesn't have an opinion on something because they've never experienced it firsthand. Everybody seems to have an opinion on everything. If you're on X, the same guy you were arguing with last week about, finance. This week you're arguing with about silver. Next week you're arguing with about dating. And the week after that, you're arguing about, border patrol. Like, everybody's an expert on everything and everybody has an opinion on something, myself included. But the fact that she just says, I don't know, I haven't experienced that, so I can't really speak to that. A woman without an opinion on something and it's not argumentative and going to fight you on something, it's very refreshing. I think it's interesting that the Western women struggle. And they're angry and they're frustrated. And they realize that only the Western men will select to be with them in the West. And given the opportunity, in the East, Western men don't want them. Asian men don't want them. Nobody wants them. They are the selection of last choice because of the type of people they are. And so they have to come back here where maybe men haven't traveled to Asia and know what Asian women are like, or more submissive, more petite, more kind, more demure, et cetera, et cetera. Because once you realize that world is open to you, it changes a whole lot of people's minds. So much so that, yes, there are passport bros. Yes, they get the passport. They head overseas, and maybe they're not looking for a wife. Maybe they're not looking for forever, but they're at least looking for somebody to date and maybe sleep with and have a romantic relationship with that actually appreciates them and cares for them and feels good when they're being supported by that man, because that does make men feel good. I think if men really knew what it was like, I think more men would go overseas. When I did my travels, I could have easily seen myself staying maybe in more rural areas of the Philippines or in like northern Thailand. I didn't get to the south of Thailand very much, but like Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, there were some really nice cities up. And what I found is that the women were nice and they were sweet, and not all of them. Everybody assumes you're going to get a bar fly, you know, some lady that works at a bar and gives it up for $5 American. There's a surprising number of women that are not like that still are on the dating apps, that go on a date, that want to get to know you a little bit before, you know, they kiss you or hold your hand or make out with you or sleep with you. You know, there are normal girls there too. And many, many more of them, I would say, than here in the West. I think if more men experience that before dating a Western woman, before getting involved with a Western woman, I think if we took every 18-year-old man here in the United States and just let him live abroad, not for the hookups, not for sleeping with a woman, just have him live abroad and see what it feels like to live as the better half, to see what it's like to have women appreciate you and be attracted to you and flirt with you and be nice to you, even if you're just an average guy, just to get that feeling of, oh, this is what it feels like to be treated like a human, like I deserve to be here. You know, Western men have been treated so poorly for so long that you kind of get the, well, yeah, I'm just a guy. I'm an average guy. Of course, I'm going to be treated like crap. And of course, women ignore me and are rude to me. I think if you got to experience that for a while and then you came back here and women were rude to you or uppity to you, you'd tell them to F off. You wouldn't simp for them. You wouldn't be liking all their photos on Instagram or whatever. I think men need to get this refresher of what it feels like to be loved and cared for and deserved of appreciation. It's just been so long since we've had that I think men forget. And I think because of it, the world is worse for it. But these women, once they find out what it's like, they're looking for the exit. They do not like being treated like the average man. Guys, if you like my work, make sure to join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com, or for those of you on YouTube, at least get over to Rumble. The channel is Odd Man Out. Because I also do news stories over there. Anyway, come on over, join us. Great community of like-minded guys. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can check out the forums, check out the topics we're talking about, and you can see the live streams that I've done in the past. And then if you say, hey, you know something, I kind of like this, I dig this, I want to be a part of this community where I can post and share things and join some of the live streams that I do for supporters only, it's $5 a month, which is literally less than a crappy cup of coffee from Starbucks. So come on over, join us today. I think you'll appreciate it. Enjoy the members only live streams that I do. It's a good time. It's a good community. So come on over, check it out, and you won't regret it.